it'll ask you to accept it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Dan with the Spiritual Underground. Once again, bringing you another guest who, as I was just saying to her, brings a different look at this enlarging your spiritual life aspect that we do here in 12-step recovery. I've had a few people on here lately that have really brought some cool tools, sound therapy and other things like that we've I really like to draw. My toolbox cannot be full enough when it comes to having this satisfying, fulfilling life. I can't have enough tools in my toolbox, and maybe some tools don't fit me. But I like to stick my toe in the water in as many as I can and see what actually works for me. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So, very unique name. I almost thought it was a spam. This world we live in, when you get yourself out there, you end up getting a lot of stuff thrown at you. And when I first saw the email that said "Edit B Kiss wants to chat," I hit it quickly and I did a little research and figured out that you were for real. So is that your real name?
Yes, that's my certified with my birth certification. Yeah.
Edit B Kiss. What's
Yeah.
the B? Will you mind sharing that?
Yeah. So I'm from Hungary, and basically the B is part of my surname, and it's a
Oh,
sign of where is the origin of my family, because in the historical situation, my family had to move from one place to another, and there was other Kiss families in that new town, and they wanted to say, okay, you are not the old Kiss, you are a new Kiss from B kind of village, so you are B Kiss now.
I gotcha. Yeah, just something to designate the difference.
Yeah, yeah.
So, tell me a little about yourself. I've read your bio and I watched some podcasts where the guest tries to do all that, but I think it's, or where the host tries to do all that, but I think the guest is the better person to share what they are about.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, I grown up in a social or communist country, without any religion, and like just growing up, like working and studying and all of this environment, like people around me. And then when I was in my teenage age, I started to like look for like, okay, let's look some spirituality, let's read some books, and find out like might one of them is fit for me, and I started to like all kinds of modalities, and then basically when I really felt the need to dive into spiritually consciously is when I started to have panic attacks. And I was a young person. I loved traveling. I traveled alone around the world. And then
Mm.
obviously I got into some points when I started to have panic attacks. And then when I got home, I was like, okay, I need to find some solution which is not medication, and not therapy or whatever. So actually I went to Reiki. So that was the first point of me doing consciously spiritual things. And so I had a Reiki master. I started to Reiki, but meanwhile, I was a petroleum engineer. So I was working in a petroleum industry, again, traveling with that industry. And then that was my main job. And spirituality was my kind of like my hobby and my savory, like keeping me on track with life. So basically with the Reiki, I also get into some extra sense retreats with the same master. I also get into a family constellation therapies because always was there something to fix, always was there some relationship issues, some health issues. And then I always just ran to my Reiki master and said like, okay, help me, what you have, and then that's how I actually started. And um, then I become a Reiki master because I took for me like 10 years from being a Reiki healer and become a master. And then just because I actually quit my job as an engineer, and then I decided to actually move to New Zealand with my family. And then so we packed up our bags and then we went to New Zealand for 7 months. We couldn't stay there, but in that process, while we were there, it was like a long vacation. And I was actually using the Reiki Master tools, which are like very powerful signs. And then in that 6, 7 months, I was just healing myself. And then, my intention was to heal myself, to stay, move the energies. But the universe had a different intention. It was the intention to bring me back because all the amazing things what was happening to me was back home, or back in Europe, not in New Zealand. So basically, the biggest thing what happened with this healing is one morning I woke up and suddenly I couldn't eat the same food as before, like
Mm.
overnight. my cravings completely changed. And then I couldn't eat like dairy products. I couldn't drink alcohol. I couldn't eat white flour, white sugar, all of these things. And then it was just like, you know, when you look at the dog food and you know, oh, it looks yummy, but it's for my dog, you know, so you don't eat it. Or like when you smell a soap, you know, and this smells like chocolate or something, but you know, it's a soap. So for me, those food became like that. So it was a blockage in energetically or subconsciously. I couldn't eat those food. And what happened is I was overweight. I hated my body. And with that situation, I started to lose weight. And in like 10 months, I lost like 20 kilos. And then I was back in my 18 years old body. So I was so perfectly happy. And it was all because of raising the vibration, you know, connecting to the other side, being more into that spiritual connection. It's actually blocked me from a low vibrational food. And then it's just kept me what I needed, basically. And then it's completely shifted me. And then other things happened, like whatever I kind of wished for before I left to New Zealand, when I came back, everything came true. It's like you have sometimes wishes which you think like is like out of like is not gonna happen anyway. So I had a wish like, you know, you have 7 days a week and then 5 days we work, 2 days we don't work. And then I said, okay, I wish I just work 2 days and we don't work 5, you know, like we be the opposite. Like who would think that, you know? And then the other wish was like, oh, I wish I would play tennis while others are sitting in the office, you know, like 11 a.m. or something. And my other wish was like to walk to the office living closer or something like that. And then when I came back to Europe, they did not hire me back, the same company, but they offered me contractor position and we moved closer in another apartment. So basically, I was playing tennis at 11 a.m. I just went to work twice a week because that's what was required. And then all of this just came true. And then I had double money. And it's just like, was like magical. You know, everything I wished for before, it came true. And because of the long break, because of the higher vibration and all of these things. So it's like sometimes you just need to wish for things and then it's happening if you take care of your energy, basically. So that's about Reiki. So what happened after Reiki is that I was invited for an event which was done by a karma guru. He came from India to Hungary. At that time, I was in Hungary, and they asked me to translate. They said, "Okay, you speak English, Hungarian, you are spiritual. Can you come to translate the guru?" And then I was like, okay, I couldn't translate because his accent was so off. And then what he was talking about, again, I couldn't like pick up on all the words. It was very foreign for me. And then basically someone else ended up translating it. And I was just translating the manuals, you know. But basically I was there. And the first time I did samadhi meditation with this guru, and I activated my pineal gland and my third eye opened. And I just realized that with the Reiki, I didn't even get to this point, because we also activated the eighth chakra, which is actually opening up the doors to your past lives and to your karmas. And then we activated the pineal gland, which opens your third eye. So what happened after that meditation is like breadcrumbs from the universe started to just flooding at me, like ideas, visions, callings, you know, it's like was really, really vivid. And so I went back again to translate for another course, and then his healings, I translated between, you know, one person and him, the one-on-one healings. And then I decided after a couple of months that I'm going to do the course myself as well. And then I started to heal myself with the tools what he provided. He taught us about source memory healing, which is releasing traumas from the core, from the unconscious mind. And then when you have a trigger in life or physical or mental illness, it has a core trauma. And then when you release the core trauma, then basically that thing gets solved and you don't get triggered anymore for the same reason. And that's what I started to experience through these healings, that, oh my God, this thing stopped, this thing stopped, like my patterns, which were like coming back infections or other things, you know, it just stopped. And then I was so mesmerized and so happy that I was like, okay, I need to do this. I need to have people, I need to hear them, you know, or help them to know this. So basically, I actually packed up my kids, I divorced, and I moved to London to establish my company and start doing this, basically. And I was still doing some engineering work for a while, but then actually I focused on this karma healing, because it was much more powerful for me than the Reiki, which I wasn't expected. I wasn't even looking for at that moment, you know, anything. It was just came, and then it was so powerful. And then since then, it was 2018, so it's 6 years now. I'm doing this basically, and making other people happy, releasing their traumas, and even helping them to learn this technique. So I have facilitators who are learning from me now, and then they actually healing other people with the same method.
Yeah. Well, that is fascinating. A lot of things, I say bell ringers, things that you said, like manifesting things, putting stuff out in the universe, but you also have to like make sure that I like to think that I have a little bit of a yoga background, and I think about my true north. Like I have a compass inside of me that is telling me where to go. And part of my job is to find that, and be intuitive about when I'm on track and when I'm not, and make sure that I'm doing things that puts me in the right places at the right times. And I'm self-employed today, and it was by accident, sorta. I mean, I wished it, I dreamed it, almost to a point to not want to tell anybody, because it's felt a little foolish to wish such a thing. And but I kept on staying where, on a path that doing my best to stay in my true north, and that became reality for me. Uh, so I can relate to a lot of what you're saying there. And then also the thing about, golly, the trauma, and you brought something to the table that I sometimes think about, but I really can't get my mind wrapped around it, is the potential of trauma, like in a past life thing that I'm carrying today that I have, if something happened to me when I was a little kid and I can remember it, then I can obviously, if I can, its ability to go talk about it and do some work on it so that it doesn't trigger me the way. But man, what if it's something that's happened to you beyond your consciousness, your current consciousness? That can be a real weight that is, like, you might even say, is impossible to drop unless maybe you meet somebody like you.
Actually, yeah, we actually call it, like with the guru is always said, that we rewrite the past and create a new future. And you don't, so most of the people don't know about their traumas, because sometimes it happens under, like, you are 4 years old, you don't remember when you were 2 years old, or you can have trauma in the womb of your mom,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you don't remember. But you can go back there when you follow the meditation, what I do with my clients, the samadhi. You go into, actually, you transcend, it's a transcendental meditation. So you transcend into the subconscious, and then you reach the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is actually just bringing you the memory. You're just there. And then it's you actually, of course, you tell the unconscious mind what's your issue and what is the emotions you actually currently experiencing because of that issue. It can be physical illness, mental illness, or any kind of issue in your life. And then when you bring in those emotions, and you feel it in your body, then the unconscious mind actually can find the root which is connected. And then some clients need 1 or 2 memories to go through, some clients 6, 7 with the same issue. Is personally, that is depends uniquely, like how many trauma is related to that current situation you're having. So it's the session could be, from 1 hour till 2 hours. And sometimes even the client tells me after 6 memories, like, okay, no, I need a break. It was too tiring, going
Yeah.
through those memories. And then some of them, of course, is not all this lifetime. Sometimes it's past life. And then they just see themselves and say, okay, I'm probably in past life because I'm wearing weird clothes, or I don't know the people around me, so it could be a past life thing. And that's what we need to solve there, like actually what they feel, and then release the emotions, negative emotions from there. And then it's like, it's actually is energetically changing a lot of things. It's not just you personally. It's actually, when you start this kind of healings, is actually affecting your whole soul family, is affecting really like more layers of the energetical being, and is also reaching out to other souls who are actually can interfere to find a solution for you. So it's not like a magic pill. For example, you have a physical illness and then you need a solution. Okay, you go into this unconscious mind memories, you start to release the memories, and suddenly someone will call you, or someone will tell you that I know, or you find someone or something which actually solved that issue that moment, because you
Mm.
did this healing. If you wouldn't do the healing, might that person wouldn't call you, or might you wouldn't came across the solution. But is like, because everything is connected. So
Right.
it's not like you and that modality, is you and everything. It's just connect you to everything and everyone who can actually help you and solve things.
Yeah. That We have in our 12 steps, we do amends. We go try to repair the past with the people we have harmed. And people time and again will not be able, they won't have any idea how to get a hold of this person, but we do work on it. And we actually sit down and meditate on it, work on it, write out a scripts and make harms lists and get real clear with the universe about what's going on. And then this person will just pop into their life, and they will have no idea how to get a hold of them. That'll be the hang up. I don't know where they live. I don't even know if they're around here anymore. And I always, let's not worry about that. That will get
Yeah,
resolved if we do this other work. And it seems like it's a lot like what you're saying there too, that it's just that alignment, like getting in alignment with where the universe wants you to be, and the things will happen. People will come into your life that you need to come into your life, and people will leave your life that you need to leave your life. And
yeah, so some people feels like when they betrayed someone or someone betrayed them, that they need to confront them like face to face. But no, is you need to find the peace within you. You need to forgive them within you for yourself, not for them. Might they don't even require for your forgiveness.
right. Yep.
But it's just like for you, for your health, for your physical health and your mental health, you need to do that inner work. And then of course also for the energies, but those other people don't need to be there. They don't need to even know
Yep.
about what you're
Right.
doing,
Yep.
because it's not,
Yep.
it's
That's the
about,
work works even,
yeah,
we do try to do direct amends when we can to the people that are in our circles and stuff, and basically own what I've done. Or the other side of it is if they've done something to me, I had to find, you said the word, I must find some forgiveness in my heart someplace. I have to, or else
yeah.
I might as well take that person and put them on my shoulder and carry them around the rest of my life if I'm not going to. It's that kind of weight on our souls if we can't do that. And, lots of times people have passed, they're no longer in this world, and you can't contact them, but the work works anyway. It doesn't
Yes,
matter that you
exactly.
can't. Some people, with our line in the book, it says some people cannot be seen. And that's interesting. I like when I talk to people, there's just so much parallel between these different modalities and things that I run into where they fall into place with what my primary modality is this 12-step lifestyle and getting a better feeling about like why it works. It doesn't really matter why it doesn't, but I have that, I think most of us do that.
Yeah,
I want to know how this works. I want that so badly that I take physical things apart to see how they work. I have an engineering background too, but more of on the mechanical back end. And I can think
awesome.
about times when I taking stuff apart when I was a little kid that I wasn't supposed to take apart, and then hide the parts in the closet and get up and at nighttime trying to figure out how to get it back together before mom and dad figure out that I've completely disassembled the toaster or whatever.
Awesome. So,
Uh, so,
great.
yeah, and then the other part of it is, and this seems to be a thing. There seems to be, and I don't have a book or a list of them, but there's some elements that seem to need to be there in order to have like this fulfilling, healthy life. And one of them is I have to put some of my life energy towards helping others. And it sounds like you do a great deal of that. And that's where you found, it went from being uh, a worker, just a plain old, go work for somebody and get paid, to now receiving what this intangible currency is of helping other people have their lives be better.
Yes, yes. Calling. About the forgiveness, I love the sentence when they people say like, it's okay, it's if you forgive to you, it doesn't mean I still want to sit with you on the same table, or it doesn't mean I trust you anymore. So it's you some people betray you and so on and so forth. So you forgive, but it doesn't mean you trust. You don't need to get them back and hug them, or trust them anymore. It's just the forgiveness has to be there. But then you can let them go, obviously,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah. And I don't know that I actually have the power to do that. That's where it comes in with this work and basically asking the universe or a higher power or whatever you prescribe that to
Yeah.
help me achieve that forgiveness, because I just really don't have it. I have to have assistance from the universe, especially on the more deeper betrayals.
Exactly. When I go through this source memory healing with my clients, sometimes we go through the whole releases, the whole process. And then the end, I need to ask them, are you able to forgive? And sometimes they say no. And then it's like after like an hour of progress, and it's like they say no, they still cannot. And then I have to tell them that only 5% of the time those people actually do anything from consciousness, from the conscious mind. The rest is from their subconscious programming, or from their ancestral backgrounds, or from their karma. So it's you need to understand, and everybody, that when something happens to you, when you got betrayed, is your karma. Basically, you need to go through that shit, and you need to experience that thing. So you shouldn't like point your fingers, or being in a victimized situation, like, oh, that person hurt me. That person maybe have nothing to do with it. That little person is the universe, or the karma, or the background, which actually made that person do that to you. So when you see the bigger picture, and then why it happened to you is basically because you had to go through this experience, because that's leading to the next step, the next step, and the next step. And then when we came to this world, yes, we had to go through certain learnings and experiences, because that's why we're doing lifetime after lifetime for experience. And then it's when it stick to them that, okay, so it wasn't actually that person, it was my karma, and it was the universe, then they can say, okay, then I forgive, because they don't personalize the situation anymore.
Yeah, that's great. No, and it's a tough one to move through too, to get people, because we are so focused on the human body that did that, this thing we can see, touch, and feel. And then it's really something much, much more than that.
Yes, yes.
So how do you go about doing this? And like, are you, I saw on the website where you can click to do you do a lot of things remotely? Do you do this process remotely?
Yeah, I do everything online because I have international client tour. So I'm in London based, but all my clients are from US, Europe, Dubai, Asia, so all over the place.
Yeah, and you find it still works
Of
even through
course.
this medium, and that's
Yeah.
another thing that I've bumped up against. And because I have a sponsor, and he's the man who took me through the work. And now what I do is pass that down. I have to, in order to keep what I have must give it away. And one of the hurdles is because I, like for instance, this podcast, I really would prefer that my guest is sitting in the chair at the other end of the table, where I can actually,
Mhm.
I feel more, and I have a connection, which I do struggle having through Zoom at the same level. But what you're telling me is that that's achievable, that you have the same outcome, you can achieve the same, because you have, in order for your client to do this, they have to really trust you and feel that you're a safe place to be, right?
The trick is here that you don't even need to share with me your trauma. So this is not a speaking therapy. This is not where you need to like open up and tell me like your
Hmm.
memory or your trauma.
Oh, wow.
And then many people is like, yes, as you said, they need to like trust me, and they is like, okay, I have to tell to her, or to someone, like, oh, what happened to me when I was a child, when I was abused, or when I whatever happened. No, because you can actually see the memory, you can actually see what you're going through, and without telling me, you can even don't need to share with me your emotions, because usually when some people trust me, okay, they tell me everything, because that's I can help them more basically with the process. But it still works if they don't tell me what they see or what they went through.
Hmm.
Then they collect themselves the emotions. They don't even share with me their emotions, but they actually place it into my sentences when I do the release. It still works. And and of course they can switch off the camera if they don't want to see that, if they don't want me to see that they're crying, or something. But of course, when I see them crying, I know I need to go slower, or I need to give them space, so it's like I can more connect and feel like, okay, where they are at. But it is like my recent client last week, when we did the sessions, she didn't share with me any of the memories, but the couple of weeks before she shared, because that was maybe comfortable memory. That was not that tricky, that was just like some kind of fears. But the second memory, or the last week memory, was kind of like more intimate, maybe, what she didn't want to share. So it works both ways. It's just how you want to actually provide me the information, how much deep you want me to help you with, but it works both ways. So it's very safe in that case. When someone say, okay, I don't want to share my trauma, it's still possible. And this is not a speaking therapy, so you don't need to tell me what's going on. I don't need to know anything,
Hmm.
nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing. It doesn't. I do understand it because it's energy, and energy doesn't have to be spoken.
It's
But like in
but
my
it's them.
world, my experience so far, it's not. You know, we talk, and it doesn't get resolved unless it's released verbally, and
I
that's
mean,
just my
I release, but they place their emotions, which I need to release, through their mind. They add it into the release sentences because they know what they want to release and they hear my sentence, how I release it. So it comes together in them, when
mm,
it needs to meet.
that's really cool.
I don't need to know what I'm releasing. I'm just saying the things, and then it came together in their mind what they are releasing, basically.
Yeah. Uh, what a gift that you have. That's and to see it cultivate, and there's a piece of me that thinks everybody has that in them. It's just a matter of whether if they pursue it or not.
My
Uh,
clients, they can actually use my meditation library 24/7. And even this healing, I have a track, a recorded track. And then after I doing a couple of sessions with them, I give them the track and say, okay, now you do it for yourself. So they can actually say, okay, today I'm having these triggers or this physical illness. Let's listen to Eddie's track so I can release it. you know so
yeah,
it's like, I even give them all the tools after we're done. It's
yeah.
not like, but it's so funny because still sometimes clients coming back to some of my free events, to do the healing. I mean, you have the track, why are you coming? It's like, but because they love it, just it's like, it's more communication or Q&A and whatever. And it works with group settings. I can
Mm.
sit down with many people in a place, or through online, and I do it for a group, the release.
Mm. Well, that's different too, and I can understand why it would. I can see how it could still be effective that way. So much of my personal work is one-on-one, so I have a paradigm, a framework that has been a recipe, so to speak, that we kind of follow. Uh, I I learned to meditate in a group, and that's how it became. It seemed like it was that was the way I needed to learn to do it with other souls in the room with me, kind of, so that I was guided by many, and they would share their different experiences, and I could get all that, and it really helped me in my beginning stages of learning to meditate. And same thing, we meet up in groups. During COVID, we couldn't anymore. We went. That was my introduction to Zoom, was because of our, we have 12-step meetings, and we get together, and that. Uh, I do I do have something, I like to feel people's energy. I like to be around and be close to people. And I actually can kind of pick up a I've done it since I was a little kid, where if somebody is like, and I don't really know what word to put on it, but they're just a solid person, their character is solid and a good person, I will get a tingling in the back of my neck and shoulders from people like that. And I don't even sometimes don't have to even talk to them. I can be in line at the grocery store,
Mm.
and that person in front of me or behind me will set that stuff off. And as I look back in my life, I remember it happening from as far back as when I was a child. And the same thing comes as the same, an opposite feeling when I know that this person is not somebody I need to be around. A repelling frequency
Yeah.
comes and tells me to make some space between me and that person. But then it took me a while to get used to being meeting in Zoom with our fellows, with the other people that are in our groups, to like acclimate to that. But eventually we did. But I still would rather be face to face with them.
Yeah, COVID was a big change because I also, before that, I had one-on-one clients who I went to visit in their homes. We did
Mm,
things and with the meditation in their space.
hmm.
And then when COVID happened, I also had to move online. But then there was the trust issue again, that like I did also Reiki healings and stuff like that. And then some people were still not so familiarized, or they did not believe in the distance healing, or it needed to take some time until they accepted it, or I needed to find the right people who actually trust this kind of distance things. That's true, because it's a different people. I would say there are some who still have, concerns and still not
Yeah.
doing the online or distance healing. They still want to have it face to face. But there are obviously other people who's happy with this solution as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It took a little getting used to for more so for some folks and less so for others. And
Yeah.
one thing is, if you think it won't work, you're right. It's kind of the old thing: if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And
Yeah.
we will block ourselves from doing that. I
Exactly.
have a number of it's kind of sitting on the shelf in a way. As I said, this spiritual growth thing. I have a number of Reiki masters in my circle, guys
Mhm.
who they went down that path. I have a sponsee that's a gal that just recently took took Reiki classes from a local Reiki master here. So that's not new to me. I have a retreat, a men's retreat every year. And usually it just so happens a couple of those guys will be Reiki masters, and they'll set up a little area to the side that when we have free time, they perform Reiki on folks
Mhm.
at the retreats. So um,
And
I
have you?
have some experience with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Have you heard of Shechem healing?
No,
Shechem.
I,
So I just because you
I
said you
think I
are
saw the term
because
on
you
your
said
website.
about Reiki and then you are familiar with and you have lots of people in Reiki. I was just like, oh, might you don't know Shechem. So Shechem healing is actually an ancient Egyptian healing technique, and it was channeled by a person who went to Egypt and spent some time in the chambers, in the pyramid. And it's most of the Shechem healers is so funny, but they are in UK somehow. So whoever I
Hmm.
met, they said, oh, they learned Shechem. They always learned from some UK people. It was so funny. So it's actually Shechem is similar to Reiki in the way that it's you need to use signs, and it has even some signs which are the same, but there are some extra signs for Shechem, and also Shechem is because it's from the ancient Egyptian energy, is like it's connect you to the Sirius sun. The Sirius is like basically the star Sirius is our
Hmm.
sun, and then that's where it's connect when you actually doing Shechem healing, and it's because it's related to the goddess Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the lion head goddess,
Hmm.
lion head lady in the Egyptian mythology. So it's related to her, and she is known as the destruction goddess. So it's destruction and healing. They always say that before order, there is chaos. So when the Shechem healing, you start doing Shechem healing, basically you might first go through a chaos or destruction before you experience the healing. It's like the phoenix, ash and then rise from the ashes. It's similar dynamics. And then the Shechem is actually, if I was first Reiki master before I learned the Shechem, and how I change my healings now, because I got also initiated for the Shechem energies and science, is that my healings become shorter. So I used to do the healings for 1 hour, 1.5 an hour. It depends on how long you do the healing, is how long that person needs the energy for. So you don't control the healing itself. When you do the healing, is the energy is controlling you basically. And then when I started to do the Shechem, my healings actually got from 1 hour to 30 minutes. So when I do healings now, they kind of stop around 30 minutes because that's how
Mm.
much energy is needed now, because it's much powerful, it's much stronger. And it's also not just going through your crown chakra and to your hands, but it's also connecting to the earth as well and coming back and through the hands. So it's just
Interesting.
a bit
Uh,
different.
yeah, and it's one of the things is at one point we didn't have any of this connectiveness in our world, right? That we have today, like how I can be sitting here talking to you, and these similar modalities happened in different places on the earth, and these people didn't know what these people were doing, and when eventually they met up, they had a very similar. Of course, it wouldn't be the exact same because it can't be, but
Yeah.
it leads some credence to it at some level to me that these things happened in various areas, and a lot of people have some real hang up. And one of the things here in the Western or in the United States is people get here and they hear us talk about uh, a reliance on a higher power, depending on the universe stuff, and they immediately connect it with Christianity. They can't help it but do that here. Uh, but I use a lot of that to help ease them that, we say it's of your understanding, and it really is. I've come to that conclusion firmly. To get people to get over the hump of that is that, in different places on this earth, people we're having these beliefs before this connection ever happened, because they want to make it like, I talked you into believing this, right? And then that can happen. You can get converted by somebody, but that's cool that these different modalities were happening concurrently in completely different spots on the earth, and it makes it more real to make, as I said, lend some credence to it in some way, to talk somebody who might be a little hesitant to to buy in, to
Yeah.
get them, because like I said, if you can block anything from yourself, any healing modality, if you want to block it, you have that power. It's kind of a free will thing, and fact of the matter, so many people do that. I would almost say they choose not to heal, but I don't think they're really choosing. They're not really. It's something more powerful than
Subconsciously.
that.
Yeah. Or subconsciously choosing it, not consciously, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They get
Yeah, I
really.
know. It's I met some Christian pastors, and they are really powerful. They also do, hands healing, and then they just have such a powerful energies. Like one of my meeting was like astonished. Like I was astonished. Like I went to an event. It was in Nigeria. I went to an event, and there was some pastors there, and then a lady came to me and just hugged me and said, "Oh, keep in touch and stay connected, blah blah blah, and thank you for coming." And after she left me, I couldn't speak for 10 minutes, and then I felt like I am in a column of light. I was
Mm,
like speechless and in a very powerful energy. So it's really, really that they are actually extremely powerful too.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my stories that I look back on, I was early in my engineering career. I was probably 18 years old or something like that, and I got assigned to work with this tool and die guy who just happened to be a pastor also. And he immediately put that, I had that energy. I just wanted to be close to him. It was almost like, almost like a cat purring or something. When I was close to him, that was the energy. And even on days when he was not there, I could go sit in his chair and absorb his energy. And it
Wow.
was lifting, it would make me feel good to do that. And at that time, I didn't understand any of it. I wondered, is this, you know, am I gay? If I didn't know what it was, it's only in the rearview mirror looking back on what that was, as my, I guess, my spiritual education progressed. And that's what, when you get with people like that, or when I get near people like that, it draws me, and I just want to stay close to them. I love that feeling of that.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, some guys say around recovery, it doesn't matter what you think, feel, or believe, but most of what I do is usually based on whether what I think, feel, or believe. It does matter. And that's what the bottom line of the dope and the booze was, for in the beginning, it worked and it made me feel better. I could forget about the trauma and the other things that I was struggling with when I was under that. But, as with all negative energies, it might work for a minute, but it's going to stop working. And the same thing with your chaos and
Order. Yeah.
order. Most people that come in through the 12-step thing, they've had a chaos time. They had to go through that chaos period in order to be receptive to the teachings that are involved with 12-step recovery.
Mm.
If you don't have a sufficient chaos in front of you, it seems that you won't have the motivation to heal. If you
Absolutely. Yeah.
the
You need.
harder to fall, the more motivated you are to get back up again.
Yeah, yeah, and it can also bring the feelings of surrender, when you go through those very difficult times, that's when you experience that, okay, I need to surrender, there is no other way, and then
Yeah.
also you become more humble and more grateful for everything that you are
Mm.
still alive or you are still, breathing, and because that's kind of like that labor.
Yep.
And
Yep. And that surrender is important. Definitely. And at some level, somebody, comes and surrenders to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. They say, okay, tell me what to do. That's the magic words. You know, what guy's beat down and he comes in and he's asking you about this thing. And he said, I don't know what to do. Just tell me what to do. And I'm like, okay, you're ready.
Mm.
Other guys come in with the old thing about the cup of water, right? The if you're like a full glass of water, and if you don't have any, you know, there's no room to pour into you. You're topped off, and we have to dump some of that water out in order to pour some fresh in. And some people come in that they're full and they are not receptive to anything new.
Mm.
And we're wasting time until that person can figure out how to dump some of what they think they know out in
Yeah.
order to put some new in.
I also would like to talk about some things like you talking about like addictions, right? So most of your listeners going through some addictions, and so how I learned it from my karma guru, and what is happening when you actually start craving for things or want to experience certain alcohol or drugs or anything, is basically you are in a very most of the time when it's happening to you, you are in negative emotions, or you are sad, or maybe you feel like you need something, you feel like you unhappy, something there which is keeps you like in a low vibration. And what is happening in that low vibration, your aura is also start to have holes. When your aura start to have holes, you are actually open up for entities like spirits, and they can actually go in and use your body, taking you subconsciously, which means like, when someone has like a heartbreak and they start to eat a bucket of ice cream, for example, or someone is like, I don't know, had to lost their job and they drinking alcohol, so on and so forth. It's because it's not always them. Sometimes there are spirits who's actually happy to enter their body and fulfilling their desires, because they are in the fourth dimension. They don't have physical body, so now they're happy that, oh, breaking point, I can get in, and I use body to eat and feel myself. And I had a client, it was such a funny experience. She called me up and said, I knew her for 20 years. I knew she was a very nice lady and then always spot on. And then she was calling me and saying like, oh, Edith, I just came home from work and then I sit down, I'm drinking and smoking. She never smoked before. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started to send her some Reiki, but also we were started to doing ancestral defect release meditation. The ancestral defect is basically, this release meditation is helping you to release the spirits from your aura and from your environment. Why you need to do that is because when your ancestors died, some of them died in sudden situations, like, it was maybe a battlefield or something happened to them, suddenly, an accident. So when someone dies like that, they don't always find the light through the crown chakra, the spirit. So the spirit actually stuck here around you, and they bothering the family members because that's what they want to get help from, because they know if the family member is praying for them, they can go to light. I know I work with clients who actually, I did ancestral defect meditation with different people. And I know the people who are like more praying for, all the time praying, like Nigerians, they love praying, and then like there are certain people who do a lot of prayings. When I did the ancestral defect meditation with them, it was very clear, the energies around them. It was very peaceful. It was nothing heavy. But when I did with someone who I know they never pray, after the meditation, I couldn't stand up. I felt like literally I have like a heavy cloud on me. Like they are all around, right? So it's like we needed some smoke. We needed to open windows because they were just like got off from him, but they were still in the space, So it's really recommended to pray for the ancestors actually and for the souls. So this ancestral defect release meditation is actually includes a very long prayer to release these ancestors from your energy field, so they don't bothering you, they don't actually force you to crave, to eat, overeat or something like that. So with this lady, I did a couple of these meditations, and after like 2 weeks, she kind of disappeared. I was like, okay, she's gonna get back to me, whatever. So after 2 weeks, she got back to me and she was like, oh, I'm so happy. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I started to do my my pottery and then playing cello and so on and so forth. I was like, oh, okay, bravo, bravo. That's great. So basically, sometimes we just always focusing on this physical body, and we think that, oh, that guy is drinking, smoking, whatever is doing. Poor guy has nothing to do with it, it's the
Yep.
freaking ancestors. And then it's just because he had a bad time, or he was just allowed himself to be sad. So basically, that's what we need to focus on when people say, be always positive, think always positive, feel positive emotions, be joyful, be grateful, be in positive vibration. That's a really good point. We need to do that. Probably you heard about Abraham Hicks. She's always saying that. So this is a good point, and that's the goal, to be always that high vibration, so we're not allowing these things to happen. But how to get there? That's the question, because someone is like, okay, be in gratitude, be in high vibration, how the heck I'm going to do that when I'm so freaking sad, or this happened to me and that happened to me? So that's where is actually the samadhi meditation comes into play, because when you start doing this meditation, you get into delta brainwaves, and then you start to produce more of the melatonin, serotonin, oxytocin, growth hormone, what you do only at deep sleep at night. So it gives you an extra boost of these hormones, which is actually makes you, like, for example, with melatonin, you're going to have a better sleep. With serotonin is a mood hormone. Oxytocin, you're going to become a kinder person. Growth hormone is helping with your vitality. So basically, practicing this meditation is actually going to raise your vibration and also make you more peaceful, more calm, more resilient. So it's less likely that you go sad or angry and all of those things. And then other meditation I have in the my meditation library is also like karmic depths release meditations, because what are karmic depths is like, for example, when you harsh and anger with other people, you create karma, a negative karma. When you lie, you create negative karma. When you, kill someone, you create negative karma. When you are jealous, when you are actually gossiping or competition, that's negative karma. So basically, there is meditations for us to release, and then this is actually coming back to these negative vibrations. So with the anger is a really bad thing, and because that's physically is actually hurting you, you can get sick being angry, and this lowering your energy, your vibration is making the holes, allowing all these entities coming in and using your body for all kinds of things, even for sexuality or something. Sometimes if you allow yourself to make love when you are in a low vibration, that's even sometimes can happen that is not you who's even is there, then other entities coming into play. So it's also recommended to always be on a high vibration and even do a meditation before the sexual intercourse, to make sure it's you, and you bring in the light and then they go out. So basically.
Yeah, it reminded me of a similar thing, and a guy that I listened to talked about that, like, we use this, and it's not, I don't know about we call it the disease of alcoholism. We call it that, but that's more of that spirit that, I call it like a parasite or like a computer virus.
Exactly.
It basically hijacks your operating system. And, that sometimes when I talk to loved ones of the alcoholic and they don't understand why Joe is being so bad, and it's like, it's really not Joe. Joe is not in control right now. There's this entity that has taken him over. And, what we got to give him a little grace, and we can get Joe back, but it's going to take some time and it's going to take some work. And you see people, I myself, I did stuff completely contrary to my character. When I was drinking and using, I was doing things that was completely not me. But I think it's me. I think what a bad dude I am, and I'm nothing but a loser and a screw up, and get down on myself. And some of this stuff helped me, and that's it's a parallel. We're speaking the same language, just from
Awesome.
different points of view. I like that. I will use that stuff again. My toolbox can never be full enough. Yeah. What else?
That's a nice question.
We can go as long as you want to. If you've got stuff, I don't know how long. If you have a hard stop, please let me know. I'll help you make sure we do that. But I'm here to absorb.
Yeah, basically, the mindfulness is also very important. So when I was first started to study with the guru, what actually also I loved about is not just the spirituality, but the mindfulness teaching as well. Because if you are in your consciousness, when you are conscious, you pay attention to be conscious, not allowing the subconscious to sneak in, because the subconscious holds your habits, your fears, and your basically your belief system, which is most of the time they came to you when you were a little child. And those belief systems and those habits are from your environment. You didn't create them. And then when you allow yourself to be autopilot, this just comes in and takes space, and then it's controlling you. And that's why many people wants to do subconscious reprogramming. It's amazing. But while you're doing the subconscious programming and you haven't reached your goals yet, then you need to be always more focusing on being in the present moment, and then not allowing the autopilot things to happen to you. So for example, I always recommend to my clients that pay attention to your five senses, or try out new things. Don't go to work on the same road all the time, or for example, cook different dishes, or when you taking a shower, then just enjoy like the drops on your skin or something, like to pay attention to your taste, your smell, for your things, that then you keep yourself more in the conscious mind until you actually do the reprogramming. And the other thing is that very important that when we think about mindfulness, we need to understand that there is three things we can control: is your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And then what you cannot control, you actually shouldn't affect you, basically, because that you can't control. You need to let it go. And then many people get triggered by outside things, like other people's actions, other people's so on and so forth, and they're trying to control situations outside of them, and this is actually make them worry and then anger or all kinds of negative things. But if they're just focusing on to control their thoughts and emotions and actions, then they're going to be much more successful in any area of their life. And then the thoughts, like sometimes you get triggered because of your own thoughts. Now, nobody told you anything. Nobody done to you anything. You're just coming up with all kinds of stupid ideas. You're creating worry because you project the future, or you have assumptions about certain people, and you're not communicating it out. So you don't know if it's even true. You're just creating assumptions, and that start to make the worry and the negative emotions, and that start to make you sick, or it start to, and then those. But whenever those negative emotions happening to you because of your thoughts, that's actually showing you that you have traumas to release, because that's a trigger. Again, you triggering yourself, but basically that's a sign that you need to release traumas. And then this is gonna stop, then there is no more trigger related to that thing, actually. And it's with the samadhi meditation is also getting easier, to do this mindfulness, to do this controlling the emotions and thoughts.
Yeah, when in our 11th step, I came up, it says that we seek through prayer and meditation. And you talked about prayer earlier. I'm a big believer in it. It's a vital part of my life today. And the meditation, and that's another hurdle to get people to, and I think the target for that is mindfulness. That's why we do it. One of the people say, I can't meditate because my mind races, like, well, we meditate because our mind races, not that we don't not do it because it races. We do it to help control that, and it takes practice. It's all this stuff is, to some extent, a lifetime endeavor. It's not a tool that's going to work and I could set it down, at least for in my world. These are things that I need to continue to practice on a regular basis. And as I said in the beginning, I don't meditate every day, really, but I do multiple times a week. I know people who do meditate every day. I do a little piece of it every morning with my prayer, because there's a thing that says, like, prayer is asking the universe for help and meditation is listening.
Yeah.
And I subscribe to that at some level, but I think,
meditation is like so many kinds of meditations. It's like how many kinds of dogs, it's like
yeah,
it's like you can't really put on like, okay, you meditate, but it's people doing different meditations. And the
yeah,
meditation you were telling me is more about quieting the monkey mind. That's the meditation. But that feels like sometimes like forcing, you know, it's that's why people say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. What I do is the transcendental meditation, which is different. So it's not about quieting the monkey mind, it's transcend to the subconscious where it's always quiet. It's like going underwater. You don't need to force to quiet the monkey mind because there is no monkey mind, you know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
quietness. So you just need to learn the steps how to transcend, and it's always quiet there,
Yeah.
basically.
And in my world, I get there sometimes, and sometimes I don't. I
Mm.
usually share that with people. It just matters. And there's been times that I've really had meditations that almost don't surreal, that I don't even hardly believe really happened. You know, it's just
Mm.
floating and almost out of body kind of things.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's sometimes it doesn't go that way, and I can't stop thinking about the laundry that's in the washer that needs to go into the dryer. Or whatever happens to want to sneak in and interrupt my process. Part of it is trying. There's a picture of a girl that I saw a long time ago, and she's sitting on the yellow stripe in the middle of the road on a very busy street meditating. You know,
Oh.
and I like the imagery of that. You know, that
Mm.
while all this stuff is going on around me, I can still find quiet and peace. And you know, that's right along with, you know, I can't let these
Yeah.
outside influences, I can't allow them to dictate how I feel. What's going
And
on
I,
over there and what's going on over here. I have to find a place where I'm okay no matter what's going on.
I used to, when I used to commute, I used to meditate on the tube. People around me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I use it, you know, I had a lot of trouble being still, you know, busybodied. It's still a thing. I like to be doing something. And meditations help me. So when I'm stuck at the doctor's office, or I'm placed in a place where I have to be still,
Mm.
uh, the meditation is my go-to, my default thing today. You know, and probably nobody in the room knows I'm meditating, but that's when I need to wait, I look at it as an opportunity that I get to meditate right now, rather than I have to wait in line, or I have to wait for the
Yeah.
doctor, or
And then if you
uh,
look around, everybody's holding their phone, right? And then
yeah, that today. Yep, yep, yep. Um, I had something else in it, and it left me. Um, so how was people to, I will put it in the notes and stuff, but tell me what would be the process for somebody contacting you, and what would that look like, so that they, they will
Yeah,
know what they're
so
getting into?
okay, so I actually have one-on-one clients. So I work with one-on-one with people, and they can contact me through my Instagram, or they can even download my free masterclass from Instagram in my bio. They can connect with me on my website, which is my name, edithbkiss.com. And they can also watch testimonial videos there before they connect me, to see what people telling about the process. And I also have a 12 months like a membership kind of thing, like when I do group coaching, group healing. And then if someone is actually connecting with this 12 months, signing up for the 12 months, then they receive the meditation library access, they receive the tracks, which I was talking about, the healing tracks, basically, and then the emotional trauma healing tracks. But we do many other kinds of healings and meditations during these 12 months. We go very deep into karma, in family unconscious karma release, like releasing ancestral karmas which is affecting us. We do other kinds of meditations which I learned from the guru, and I went to India for other retreats. So I do some, how can I say, I call it elevate, because I do high level of meditation techniques and raising the vibration of the people, helping them to actually channel more for themselves, to get their vision, to see where they are heading. Because when you open your third eye, and then you are actually more intuitive, you have less worry and less fear, because you know where you are heading. And then that's what many people feel, those fears and worries every day, like, oh, what's going to happen, or what's going to happen if. those kind of things. So when they actually learn how to become more intuitive because they raise their vibration, they learn this kind of new meditation techniques and healings, then they become more peaceful, they become more actually happy, and then also healthy because of the trauma release. They actually prevent diseases. Because what are the diseases? They are the results of your emotional roller coaster lifestyle. It's like cancer is from anger, and then all kinds of, when you have like asthma or you have like high blood pressure, is all coming from negative emotions. And then when you know how to release the roots, then you prevent the diseases.
Yeah, I believe that too. I would have connected cancer with stress as well. But
Mm.
that anger is a stress. It definitely is. And I I don't know. I just keep on learning more and more and absorbing stuff about, that the universe is not as it seems at a glance of an eye. There's a lot more going on. And we've got one of the coolest things about, and my listeners will hear me say this all the time, one of the coolest things about being in this podcast is I get exposed to people like you who are out there as a force for the good, that are doing good work for this race of humans we have here. And that's another problem area for a lot of us, is on those phones and on the TV, and so much negative and low vibration information is coming through there, making us sick, making us ill, making us not be okay. And and you could almost think that the world is going to hell in a handbasket if you watch too much of that. And I get doses of people like you and keep my eye on the high vibration stuff, and it keeps, I believe that it keeps me well, physically and mentally and spiritually, as a result of staying in this zone instead of the other one. You mentioned earlier about the traumas when we come from kids, and the stuff that happens to us. Uh, it's we carry that, and we have to have some way to release it, and we don't even know, we don't even know we have it. Like you said, it's this or like I said, it's this parasitic thing that invades you, and there's ways to heal from it.
Yeah, and then sometimes, there are such a little things which create trauma for a child. Like one of my clients said that the situation, the memory was that she was like 2 years old, and it was in the kitchen, and the mom was doing washing up, the dishes, and then it just was like she didn't pay attention to her because she was busy doing things, and then that child already created a abandonment trauma, and then that was coming now, hunting her when her age 30, and
Yeah.
creating kinds of situations. And there was another girl. She came to me with panic attacks, and then I mean, now she's 20, but one of her memory was also about being with the grandparents, sitting in a room watching TV, but she wanted to go outside. But she couldn't go outside because the grandparents probably wanted her to be inside, and she was like maybe 8 years old, and she felt that limiting situation, she felt limited, unsupported, and all of those emotions, what she came up with, what she actually experienced recently, also with the COVID and stuff like that. So we should actually, it's like when I'm looking through these memories with the people, like what they experienced as a child, like what we should pay attention when we are adults, or can we actually prevent all the traumas for a child, is so difficult, because you can't be there in every second, you can't fulfill all the desires of the child in every minute, or because that's just impossible, and then it's how that child is going through that experience is also about her, how resilient she is as a child, or what she needs to go through, basically. So it's some child, is just happy flappy whatever, but some child is more emotional or more sensitive. It's personal thing as well. It's a personal journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said, maybe these things are something I needed to go through. My journey is my journey, and it's just had to be. It wasn't somebody trying to, most of the time when you're children, and there are exceptions to that, but nobody's out to harm them. But
Yeah,
trauma, I used to like think of trauma that it had to be a violent, hurtful, or something like that, and that's not the case. It can just be some of what your experience is. You said one of them, and I always use an example of if you were, let's say, 1 years old and you're in your crib taking a nap, and you get up and wake up and you're crying out, but for whatever reason, mom went out in the backyard to take out the trash and got to talking to the neighbor, and you sitting there hollering, and nobody's coming, nobody's coming, nobody's coming. And then you end up attaching to some kind of abandonment thing where,
exactly.
nothing harmful was meant. There wasn't anything anybody did on purpose. No harm was meant, but that doesn't mean you didn't absorb it in that way. And
Mhm.
then you grow up and you wonder why you got this, and there's nothing that you remember that would have caused it, but like what you're talking about, being able to take them back to that and maybe somehow or another access it so that then it can be released. It's just it's almost magic.
Mhm. Yeah. I also wrote a book. It's called On the Healer's Journey. It's available everywhere. So my publisher done a good job. So if you just Google On the Healer's Journey by Edith Bickis, you can find it even on Apple or I don't know, all over the place. So it's in Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, wherever. And basically, I wrote this book for seekers. Wrote this book to people who's going through actually awakening, spiritual awakening, and it's I actually help them to go through on a smoother way. I explain them certain situations, why they're going through, how to. It's like an advice book or recommendation book. Like it's 13 chapters to guiding through them on this process. And I also mentioned there about the multidimensional existence. How we need to actually relate to ourselves, and then how they can actually become the light for others as well. And it's I actually put also some nice drawings in there. I not mine. I had a nice artist who did it, but they are very beautiful, like mandala drawings. So you can even color because it's a black and white. So you can even use it to coloring it to to feel in peace and so on and so forth. So it's I also recommend this lovely book to everyone who's listening and
Yeah.
interested more on this healing journey.
Yeah, the Mandela coloring, I used that for a long time. It's something I haven't done for a little while now, but it was something that helped me a lot for a long time. I believe the books are still sitting over there in the drawer, from just in a way, it's a type of meditation. It's a way to
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
single focused and uh, come to a point of peace, even if it's just for a half hour or whatever, while we're doing it. That's cool. I'm glad you mentioned the book. I'll check that out for sure. Uh, I love books. I'll do a lot of reading. I do a lot of listening. And so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Welcome. And basically, if someone is like watching this or listening to this and they already do some modalities like healers, like Reiki healers or others, and would love to learn this modality, I also have the facilitator training for them. So I actually train people for these modalities if someone is interested. My guru actually passed away last year.
Oh,
And yeah, it's 2000, no, actually in 21, because we are 24 now. So in 22, so last year was last year. So he passed away in 2022, and then I started the facilitator training last year, actually in 23. And then it's so amazing because I feel his energy when I'm teaching, and I know
mm.
he's smiling at me, and he's happy that I'm actually doing his work. So it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing, pass away from this world, but there's still, I believe there's more. I don't know what it is, but
Mm.
I feel people that have left me. I've got a sponsee who just lost her husband in July, and she's having a tough time dealing with it, and that's a tough thing to deal with. But she is constantly getting, not constantly, she's oftenly getting messages that she talks to me about that where she's hearing from her husband. And,
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of experience with that. And I'm actually going to point her your direction because you've said a lot today that I think she might be able to use. She's also a Reiki practitioner of some level. I'm not exactly sure what, but um, yeah, it's. I'm sorry that you for your loss, but in our I don't know. I don't. I don't look at it completely like that because it's not completely gone. Just the
Actually,
physical body's not here anymore.
he also taught that grief is a karmic debt. We shouldn't grieve. Actually, is more when somebody passing away is more like a celebration of their life. You know, they how far they went. They went through. You know, they passed this game. They went through this
Yep.
game. So basically, it's a celebration of their
Yeah, that's the way I
life.
look at it.
Yeah, so much amazing things they created, you know, they went through a lot, they created so many amazing things. So it's a celebration of life actually when they passing to the next dimension. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I believe that as well. I had a lot of trouble with for a period of time in my youth about hang up over death, almost to a to a very almost debilitating level
Mm,
of fear of death, and I carried that into adulthood. It wasn't until the past 10 years or whatever that that's shifted.
mm. I lost my father like more than 10 years ago. And I wasn't devastated. So I wasn't like feeling like other people normally feel, you know, when they lost. And then recently I see him coming back to me as a butterfly, you know. So
Uh,
it's like whenever I'm maybe worry about something, you know, or I have some concerns, it's just the butterfly just appears and, you know, it's like bringing me some peace. Or it was a very funny. I was going for a meeting. I was in a bus stop and I was going for a meeting and I was late and the bus was late, you know. And then the butterfly came and it was landed on my arms like 4 times. Even the other people around me was smiling, like what the butterfly is doing on me, you know. And then it's landed on my cheek. And then it flew away. I was like, oh, I got a kiss. So it was so cute. And then it was just around the road for a while and then it went away. So then I felt like it's showing me that I am fine, you know, I'm gonna be on time, it's everything gonna be all right. And then when I went to the meeting, everything was so amazing and even the outcome was much better than I ever expected it. So it was yeah, so it was just a positive sign.
yeah. Yep. And yep. You need to watch for those things too. Some people would just have seen a butterfly. They would have not heard the message and seen what was going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people, we do that a lot in our circles, paying attention to what's going on, especially when we're doing spiritual work. You know, somebody will be doing, we do the piece, it's called a fifth step. And a fellow friend of mine was sitting and all of a sudden a lot of butterflies came and just out of the blue, and they were outdoors doing this fifth step, and it had a period of it. The sponsor leaves the guy alone to have some alone time, and when he was sitting next to a river alone, he had basically a flock. I don't know what a group of butterflies is called, come and visit him. And he was awake enough to see that for what it was and hear the message from that. And other people have animals, hawks, deer, other kind of visits from the animal kingdom come and like the one of the things is like when those animals come during those times, they have no fear. You know, normally a deer would see you and bolt. You know, they're afraid of you, but those times they come and there won't be the animals and the butterfly. They don't have any fear in them, and it's cool stuff. This
And you know,
paying attention.
even the signs when these animals are not in real, like not the real animal, but if you see a picture of them or a sign just of that animal, that's the same
Right.
powerful
Yep. Right.
thing because, you know, everything is illusion. So basically, is everything just made up the way how it is. And then I had a funny story with that because I was traveling in a car and then I was with my daughter and then I again I was thinking like, oh, I need some spirit guide support, you know, some yes or no or you know something. And then I've seen a huge rainbow painted on the wall. You know, I was like, yeah, good sign, thank you. And then I was smiling and then I turned to my daughter and I told her, you know what's gonna be funny if I see a peacock now because that's my spirit animal. You know, I'm in the middle of the city, I'm sitting in a car and I'm just saying it to her, you know, like that's gonna be
A
funny.
peacock.
A peacock, yeah.
Yeah. Is that the somewhat of the image behind you?
No, it's actually it's a lotus flower.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So basically, in that second, when I told her this, I turned my face out of the window, and there was a gate, a metal gate that we were passing by, and written on it, peacock.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God. No, it's no more question. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
how it's like in that second in a car, and then it was there.
yeah. That is very cool. You talk about your children. How do they respond to this stuff? Are they,
I mean,
um,
they grow up with this, so it's natural for them. You know, it's just like, Mom, give me a Reiki healing. I don't feel good. You know,
right.
it's like that. You know,
Yeah,
so
I kind of see that as, that a lot of people, what we mentioned that you drag stuff in from your childhood, and when, this like this wonderful thing where these certain children don't have to drag as much and they get taught these modalities from a child, and that's what they actually grow up with. That's world changing in my mind. And there's so many, most of the people that come and sit across the table from me a lot of them have some pretty awful childhoods,
mm,
and it's like no wonder they turn out to be out at alcoholics and addicts.
yeah.
They almost didn't have a choice with
Mm,
what they were born into. And these times, and I feel grateful the same way that I'm able to teach my children in a different way. They're both just recently, my daughter turned 18, so they're both adults now. I have a 20-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter that I get to demonstrate a different thing to them than what I did in their childhood.
mm,
There's um, but uh, and that's another thing about coaching guys. I have one guy who is going to have a daughter in the morning, and they have a 2-year-old little son. And this guy was a bona fide drug addict 4 or 5 years ago, and then he's done healing work, and he's not anymore. And he actually asked me to be the godfather to his son. So when I go over there, and I just love that little free spirit that little boy has. He's just so much fun to be around because he's not getting, he's absorbing good energy from the time he come out of the womb. The best as we can do, like you said, there's some that's not unavoidable, but it's just wonderful to see that little free spirit growing up like that. And I think again that's world changing stuff. If we can start, you can't avoid the trauma, you can't dodge it. That's things, life happens. But when parents can do their best to
yeah.
not inflict that stuff, there's nothing but good can come from that.
Yeah, when I go through some sessions, it's always about like forgive to your parents, because in that moment or in that situation, that was the best they knew. You know, if they grew up in an environment when they only were surrounded with so and so forth things, then that's what they brought with them. So that's what they knew. So that's what they could provide. So that's why you need to forgive. So that's actually the thing. So of course, when the person is different and is different circumstances, everything is different. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, Lost my mom in 2016. I was 14 months sober, and um, to some extent, like you, it wasn't a grieving process. I knew that she was better off. She was very sick and she was suffering here, and that was like she finally got to escape that, and um, I almost wanted to not be outwardly that, but I was happy that she was gone. She escaped this suffering. And my father lives with me now today, and he's 86, and he's active as all. You just can't believe how healthy he is at 86. He's out and about and push mows the yard. That's a requirement. He. I have to let him do push mow the yard. That was a deal when he moved in, that he said, I want to do the yard work for as long as I'm able. And what I've learned from him over the years is it's just been fantastic. So uh, and all his parents lived to be around. His parents and their generation all lived to be 100 or so. I expect he'll be around, and if I take care of myself, I will also. So I want to.
That's
I always
wonderful.
say I want to make the most of this trip on this big blue marble this time around by meeting people like you and using these tools that are available to us.
Absolutely. Mhm.
All right. Well, you want to wrap it up,
Yeah.
or do you have more? if you want to keep going, if you have other things you want to talk about, I'm open to it.
About
But
the children as well, you're saying like what they see, they implement, or what is, around them, they actually absorb. And then my daughter was so cute last time. She was telling, she has also online friends because she's homeschooled. So she has online friends from Australia to Canada, and then
Mhm.
I know when she has friends online, like in the morning, I'm like, are you talking about to Australia? And she said, yeah. And then in the evening, are you talking to Canada? Yeah. Because it's like the time zones. And then she's sometimes telling me like, oh, mom, I'm the therapist of my friends. Like, I'm asking like, oh, how it comes because they telling her, what's going on with their life or whatever, because they going out to school, they are not homeschooled. And of course, in the school, so other things happening, and then they share it with her. And then she's like a peaceful, talking to them very nicely, how she learned or how sometimes she's listening, when I'm with my clients or she can hear how I do things like sessions and stuff. So probably she's picking up some of those things. She's very
Oh yeah.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean about world changing. That energy is going out all over the place of this positive vibration, this high vibration that can be cultivated. And I really do believe in that. That is so cool. She's her friends are very lucky, and so is she.
Yeah, she loves them.
All right. Well, we'll put a wrap around it. I'll definitely I'm going to release this podcast tonight. I fell behind. I release new content every Sunday, and sometimes I just don't. I call it pushing rope. You can't push rope, right? And I just don't. I just go with the flow, and the universe typically provides me with a guest every week, and I do it that way. I do record one podcast a week, and I release one podcast a week. And this one is just a little later. Usually it's a real early in the morning on Sunday. What time is it where you're at right now?
It's actually 8:30
Half past 8 in the PM.
in the
Yeah.
evening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool too. I had a podcast with a guy the other day. I asked him that question. It was 3 a.m. where he was at. I was like, golly.
I wouldn't do
Uh,
that. I
yeah,
can't.
I would not have asked him to do it. We
Yeah,
arranged it, and I trust that people will take care of themselves in that regard.
exactly.
And so that's when he wanted to schedule it. That was okay with me. So this will be out in just a little bit. I just need to process it and put it on, and I'm gonna put this on YouTube if that's okay too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have my YouTube channel as well. But yeah, of course. Yeah. So the video on YouTube, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Most I don't have camera equipment, so when I'm doing, and I'm thinking about changing that, but when I do podcasts, it's just audio. If a guy's sitting here with me, but when I do it on Zoom, and it lends itself to that very easily, so I use it when I
Okay.
can.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I always say a couple things at the end of our podcast, and there's a real easy little mantra that I think about often, that if it's working, keep doing it. And if it's not working, stop. So this works, and I'll keep doing it. If you're not having a blast in your recovery, you're not doing something right. And I just want to thank everybody out there, because I do believe recovery is not limited to alcoholism or addiction. It's recovering from trauma, from just the environmental concerns of this world. And I just like to thank everybody out there for allowing Edit and I to participate in our recoveries in this manner today. Peace out.